Hello, both sides of the conversation family. We welcome you to this virtual space crafted especially for you. My name is Jada Curry, and I'm both sides of the conversation's marketing director and graphics design specialist. I want to take some time to ground us all as a community into this space we are about to open up in, so let's go through our community standards. Both sides of the conversation is providing a safe and honest space for open conversation, so we ask that you all be respectful of that. We also ask that you be respectful of each panelist, host, and participant. We do encourage healthy debates and conversations. Don't personalize anything with anyone. This includes name-calling, bullying, trolling, or shaming. This will not be allowed or tolerated. Your perspective is yours. It is not a prescription. You do not have to agree, but show respect. These community standards apply to all of our live shows and any virtual spaces that we hold on social media, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We want to make sure that we are caring for each other as a community. This is our priority in all of our endeavors as both sides of the conversation. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's show and continue to stay in touch with us via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or all of them. All right, thank you for listening and see you soon.
Welcome everybody to both sides of the conversation. I'm John Henry, Executive Director. Today is Tuesday, so you know what that means. We have another segment of our Hidden Gems. As you all know, every Tuesday, we like to highlight our Black and brown businesses, as well as community leaders and organizations that are doing positive things to impact our community. So just happy to be back in space with community. Glad to have you here. We had two of our guests who was unable to counsel tonight. So we have one phenomenal hidden gem, and I love the work that they're doing. So you guys are going to meet a great hidden gem tonight, and just excited about that. But before we get started, want to go through a couple of the community announcements and some of the things that's going on. First of all, just want to give a huge shout out to Rafiki Coalition, the Homeless Children Network, a number of other sponsors who came together to bring joy. Dr. Joy DeGroot out this weekend, the author who wrote the book Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. What a phenomenal event that took place this weekend. When you talk about the amount of healing, community coming together, talking about the traumas, talking about some of the things that's impacting community right now. What a phenomenal event. So just excited about what took place this weekend and what was going on at Rafiki. And again, just excited to be in space and see the amount of young families, young folks who came out. When we talk about mental health and wellness in our community, that's a top priority for our community. So to see community families come out in numbers and show up to come and participate and go through some of the processes that Rafiki put out for community, a great event. Excited for those 2 days and just looking forward to more and more of that healing and those type of circles and spaces that we're going to continue to push for our community. As y'all see, I'm representing my 94124 shirt from Rafiki. Again, with all of the COVID stuff that's going on and the work that they're doing behind the scenes for COVID and a number of organizations is very important and impactful stuff that's going on. So we're just honored to be a part of that process as we continue to move forward. And with that being said, community, still be aware COVID is real. It is still happening in our community. COVID has not left. I know a lot of folks are saying it's over, the pandemic is over. Again, there's still a number of cases that are still popping up. There was news that the vice president also tested positive for COVID. So just understand, community, we are not out of the woodworks. We are still dealing with COVID in our community. So again, be respectful, keep your safe distancing. I know a lot of places have allowed people to be maskless, but do your part and try to keep safe distancing, wash your hands and be safe so that we're not spreading germs and things of that nature. Also, both sides of the conversation is still passing out COVID home test kits. If you would like to get a home COVID test kit or you need support, reach out to us and we'll make sure you and your organization get some of those test kits. Again, a number of things have been taking place in the news. Again, just want to say the community violence that's still happening in our communities is tragic and sad. Again, we had another young individual whose life was taken. Gun violence in our community has to come to a stop. We are losing too many of our young folks in our community, and we're going to continue to do our part when it comes to this violence prevention, this gun prevention, to get these guns off our street and get our young folks into positive realms where they can work together, learn conflict management skills. And we're going to be doing some stuff on this platform with our young folks. We are going to be looking at hosting one Sunday out of every month for our young folks. One of the things that came out of the healing circles and the panel of young folks that came out to Rafiki this weekend is the young folks of the community said they want to have a space where they could talk about their issues and let their voices be lifted. So we're listening to the young folks, and we're going to provide space for our young folks of the community to come here on this platform and hold space to talk about some of the concerns and some of the issues that they face as young folks, so that community and the elders of the community can listen to our young folks. Our elected officials can listen to our young folks and make sure that we are doing everything that we can within our powers to support them and make sure that they feel supported and they get the access to resources and things that they need so that they can be productive and successful in our communities. So just excited about that. Also, we have a number of both sides of the conversation team folks that are coming on. There's a number of things that are moving. I know you guys are starting to see different things happening as we are increasing capacity. I know y'all been watching our group. Our group's been back moving. Things are happening. Follow us on our social medias. Things are starting to happen. Again, we have a few more folks that we are on board and getting ready to do a bunch of amazing things to impact our community. So I'm excited about that. As you all seen last Thursday, our co-host that's going to be helping co-host will be coming on, Miss Tony Rochelle. We also have another co-host, Ayana Matthews, that's going to be coming on to support us as well. So community, get ready to get some different perspectives, some dynamic folks who got some different thought processes and understandings, because I know y'all get tired of hearing me all the time. So y'all get to get a different perspective from some other folks. So just excited about that. Again, and just keep our community folks uplifted, our leaders of the community in prayer. Again, there's a number of community leaders who are dealing with loss, dealing with different issues that are impacting not only them, but their families. So please keep them in prayer, as we always want to do here, is make sure that our loved ones in the community and our community leaders are prayed for, and we just want to make sure that we uplift them in spirit. Before I want to go, I want to say happy birthday to my sister Felicia Jones. She's out enjoying her day. We cannot let the voice, the queen of our city, who's always fighting for our people, we want to make sure that she's uplifted. So just want to say happy birthday to you, sister Felicia Jones, and hopefully you're enjoying the day, and a number of other folks whose birthday was today. Happy birthday to you all. And again, you know, we here to try to make sure that our people is uplifted and supported. And thank you all for the work that you do and continuing to support us here at Both Sides of the Conversation. With that being said, we're going to jump into some of the things that's been going on. I know you all been seeing in the news, Elon Musk is taking over Twitter. I said Twitter, Twitter, because again, you know, this is huge news again, and we talk about monopolization in our country. We talk about capitalism. We talk about classism. We talk about some of the things that are impacting our community. To see another billionaire buying up stuff, taking over, as they saying he's the most powerful man in the world with all his business adventures. Again, I'm not a hater. I'm happy to see folks taking off that risk of being a business owner. I understand, but also just hope that at some point, the impact of Twitter, the impact of Tesla, and some of the different business models that he's produced to be successful, find a way to help impact our communities. There's a lot more that those folks could do, especially in San Francisco with Twitter. There's a lot of more things that they could do to help bring equity to our communities. We have a lot of unhoused folks. We have a lot of substance abuse. We have a lot of mental health. We have a lot of organizations that are trying to upcome and help support these efforts. And hopefully these type of corporations will get behind and support some of the stuff that's going on, impacting our community. So just, again, shout out to him for doing that. And we'll see what that all looks like moving forward in the future. Again, we just want to thank Dr. Joy for coming out and doing what she did. The book signing was nice. Again, just to see the community out there. Phenomenal sister. Just want to say thank you again, Dr. Joy DeGroot, for coming out, impacting our community, and just giving that awareness and education to our community. So many things that I picked up and learned. Again, every day we on this earth, I always say you should be learning something new every day. No one knows it all. And going through her workshop and going through that 2-day session, I learned so many things that I didn't know. And I feel like, it's just very impactful. It was a very emotional up and down 2 days, just to understand where we have come as community, where we going, and just trying to put those solutions. How do we come together in solidarity? How do we change the narrative? How do we move forward as community? So just excited about that. So thank you again, Dr. Joy. Thank you to all of the Rafiki team, Dr. Monique Lassar, and to all of the team over there, and to Dr. Silas, who wasn't able to make it, but to the HCCN folks who are continuing to push forward with our community, making sure that mental health and wellness is a top priority of our community. We want to thank them for that as well. So with that being said, we're going to jump into a couple of community events and then get our phenomenal hidden gem tonight to come up. With that being said, this Saturday, April the 30th, the STEM Frenzy event is happening. The Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics Frenzy is going on at the City College of San Francisco for our young folks. That event is taking place between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. at 54 The Way in San Francisco. If you would like to get information or you would like to sign up your young folks for this event, please email info@stemfrenzy.org. We'll get that information up on the screen, as well as we have been posting it in our flyers. So if you're not following us and you want to find out about these events that's going on, please check out our Facebook page, our Instagram page at Both Sides of the Conversation. That's where all of our information is for these events. And we'll be updating our website as well. So please go there to find it, and we'll get it up on here as well. With that being said, there's a community listening sessions that are happening that's going to be hosted by the San Francisco African American Arts and Culture District. Each participant will be receiving a $25 gift card. That's going to be happening from May 3rd to May 17th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Again, participants will receive a $25 gift card to come talk about some of the things that y'all would like to see from the Arts and Culture District. And again, they trying to get community ideals of what's going on. So that's a great event. And we'll put that information out to community as well as we get closer to the dates, so that you can log in or go to the in-person location and let your voice be heard about what you would like to see from the Arts and Culture District. Also, Alonzo King Lines Ballot is happening. Hearts with Lines, looking for community program interns. The deadline is June 1st. Again, for young folks, if you're looking for an internship, this is a great way to get involved. We'll be putting that information on the screen. There's an email address that you could get access to the rest of the information, and we'll get that up on the screen as well. So looking forward to that. That's another program for our interns. We're trying to keep our young folks busy this summer and make sure that they have resources and things to keep them busy throughout the summer. Also, the San Francisco Rebel Sports and STEM Summer Camp is taking place. There's various sessions that's going to be taking place from June 6th through July 22nd at Gateway High School. Reach out to my guy, Nate Ford. If y'all want to email him, sfrebels1990@gmail.com, and we'll get that information on the screen. Great sessions for these young folks. Again, we're trying to keep programming happening throughout the summer, so that these young folks have things to be involved with, so they're not on the streets and they're not out committing crimes and doing things. So shout out to the Rebels for continuing to do the work and impacting our community. Also, the Marsh Youth Theater is presenting Voices of Youth. That is happening on Saturdays at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. through June 12th. So it's happening. All San Francisco residents may receive a $250 stipend upon completion. Reach out to Rebecca at themarsh.org if you would like to get your young folks or family members involved in that. That's some great stuff for the young folks, as well as they can receive a $250 stipend for being a part of it. Also, the both sides of the conversation announcements. Again, we are still looking for volunteers to help support our organization move forward. As you all know, we are a digital media platform as well as we do community reach and outreach. We're doing a number of things with our young people, reentry work at our San Francisco Juvenile Hall. And there's a number of other programming that we are doing. We are looking for those talented folks who would like to give back. We know there's a lot of people out there saying, I want to give back. I want to help. I just don't know where to go. You can reach out and support both sides of the conversation. Bring some of your talents and your skills and be a difference in our community. You can go to our website, www.bsotc.org, or you can reach out to us at info@bsotc.org, and we'll have somebody reach out and support you. Also, if you would like to support us financially, a different way you can support us on Amazon Smile, and you could donate up to Amazon will donate up to 0.5 of your eligible purchase to both sides of the conversation with no extra charge to you. All you have to do is go to Amazon, sign up for Amazon Smile, choose both sides of the conversation as one of your charitable organizations. And every time you purchase something, a percentage of that purchase will be sent over to both sides of the conversation. No extra cost to you on your purchase. So that's just a great way to get back. And then there's also on our website ways you could donate and support that way as well. And we would like to thank all of the folks who've been donating, supporting, and helping uplift this organization. Again, it takes a lot to uplift an organization off the ground, and we just appreciate everybody who's been doing everything they can to help support, to keep our media, to keep our way of communicating and connecting with community. So we appreciate you all. Also, our upcoming shows, on Thursday, April the 28th, we're going to have Dr. Monique Lassar from Rafiki Coalition is going to come on with Dr. Hicks. A couple of weeks ago, they had to cancel, but they're going to come back and talk about Black mental health. Great educational presentation to talk about mental health. So we're looking forward to that. Also, we're going to have a COVID impact on youth and seniors. That's going to be happening Thursday, May 5th. At 6 p.m. with Rafiki Coalition, Dr. Mo as well. And then our Hidden Gem shows every Tuesday, we will continue to pump them out. You guys will see the number of increase as we are moving more and more folks on our team. You're going to start seeing more and more folks get on. So please, if you like to be on the Hidden Gem segment, you would like to promote your business, or you would like to get on one of the educational Thursdays or one of our Sunday conversations, please sign up while we still have a few slots available. Things are going to start booking up fast as we're moving into the summer months. With that being said, enough of me. If y'all heard enough about me, tonight is our Hidden Gem segment. So tonight, we're going to bring up our Hidden Gem. As I said earlier, we had two other Hidden Gems who had to cancel, and we'll get them back on another date. But tonight, we have one phenomenal gentleman that is here to talk about the amazing work that he is doing as well as his organization. With that being said, we're going to bring up Brother Tom Kelly from the Bayview Advocate. Tom, welcome to both sides of the conversation. Hidden Gem segment. Come on and talk about all the amazing stuff that you all are doing. And again,
John Henry, how the heck are you, man? Got all the updates from you right there. That's amazing. It's amazing what you're doing. Yeah, no, I'm glad to be here, but I'm really glad to be talking about the rest of the work that everyone else is doing at Bayview Hunters Point Community Advocates, because I'm the development director here, and Michelle Pierce, our executive director, Corey Monroe, head of our outreach program, Dalila Adolfo from our policy program, Anthony Khalil, legendary head of our food sovereignty program, all doing amazing work. We have a little staff of like 7 or 8 people trying to make change and build power in Bayview Hunters Point, right? And try to make sure we can have more folks who we can stay here in a changing city and build neighborhood power while we're doing it. I guess I'll just say quickly how I got here, like how this middle-aged white guy from Potrero Hill ended up trying to work for supporting everything in Bayview. A bunch of years ago, I was minding my own business. I ran a theater company in Potrero Hill for 20 years. And by way of doing that, especially because we built a theater over on 18th Street, we thought, well, heck, we have a theater now, so we're sweeping up the sidewalk in front of the theater. We should join the Merchants Association. We should join the Neighborhood Association. And the Neighborhood Association in particular, the Potrero Boosters, said, hey, if you're a director and you can run a rehearsal, you could probably run our meetings too. And so I ended up as president of the organization for a bunch of years, running that organization. And that's where I started finding out about the issues in the neighborhood and the neighborhood next door, and about Bayview Hunters Point. And over at the Merchants Association at the time, I started going to the Merchants Association meetings over at Goat Hill Pizza at 18th and Connecticut. And they say, well, we got to organize because we got to close down these power plants. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm down. I'm into that. But we're a merchant association. What's our thing with the power plants? And they said, well, these are our customers, right? These are our folks who come here, live here, and breathe this air. And these are the two largest stationary sources of air pollution in the neighborhood. And do you know about, the quality of the air here and life expectancies and so on? And of course, I didn't know any of this. I was just minding my own business running a theater. And so by way of that kind of organizing, and then finding out more and more from neighbors in Bayview and legendary environmental justice advocates in Bayview, like Miss Marie Harrison, bless her heart, rest her soul, and Espinola Jackson, bless her heart, rest her soul, and then Karen Pierce and her daughter Michelle Pierce, who's now my boss at the Advocates. I learned, okay, I'm over here in Potrero, and I got 2 freeways between, where on either side of where I live, and there's some soot on the window, and I wonder what that is, and there's this weird dust in the air, and maybe it takes a couple years off my life, by having this air quality around me, but it comes off at the end. I don't know. You don't say, oh, you're 86, but you could have passed at 80, you could have lived 3 years longer if you didn't live in this place. And then you find out, this is why I bring this up, then you find out a child born today in Bayview, Hunters Point, can expect to live 14 years less than a child born on Russian Hill. That's a lot. Right? And why is that? And there's a million possible reasons, but if there's a million possible reasons, that's a reason to study it more, not less. And our city Department of Public Health doesn't bother to study it. They say, well, it could be a lot of reasons. And, we think it's because of demographics and bad choices. Which one is hella racist? And 2 is so incurious about it when you have all this industrial pollution and families throughout the neighborhood know other families where 3 generations have died of the same cancer. And where this pollution is. There's air, water, and ground pollution. These other factors. It's not because you're skipping a visit to the clinic or going to Foods Co. instead of Trader Joe's. It's these other things. And so I got involved in environmental justice activism and moved on from working in theater to working in neighborhood organizing and neighborhood politics for a bunch of years. And then that, just to fast forward a bunch, then in late 2018, 2019, Michelle Pierce and I were sitting down in a whole bunch of meetings at coffee houses and little joints up and down 3rd Street and in the neighborhood about let's reboot Bayview Hunters Point Community Advocates, which was started by Michelle's mother, Karen Pierce, Olin Webb, a bunch of other activists in 1994, and said, we're going to reboot this. It's been dormant for a couple of years. Let's reboot this and really build neighborhood power on environmental justice issues about our pollution, about cleaning up the air. And, and also because right at the same time that was happening, grocery stores were closing in the neighborhood. Duck Loy closed. The Walgreens at Bayview Plaza closed. The Smart and Final on Bayshore closed, which is where folks were shopping and getting produce. And I was a loudmouth for years before about saying we need a community-owned grocery store in the neighborhood because that's the only way we'll know a quality grocery store will stay for a while. And Michelle said, well, actually, a lot of folks a couple folks called me when those stores closed and called my bluff and said, let's do this. Let's organize this. So that became one of the early things we were doing. So we were planning for a co-op grocery store, planning for this environmental justice work, and creating a Southeast Community Council of other folks in the neighborhood. Because it's not just us picking what ideas to do. We have 9 or 10 folks on a Southeast Community Council helping determine what the organization works on, what issues we take on, what policy things we try to change. And that takes us up right to the pandemic. And I know I'm going on for a little while, but this will just take like a couple minutes more. And because the plague happened and we were starting to plan a co-op grocery, we had a couple of funders at that point, including the Department of Public Health, and they reached out and said, you guys are working in the food industry. Can you get food to people now? Because at the same time they were making that call, families were calling Michelle, my boss, at 1:30 in the morning saying they couldn't get food. And there's lockdown and we have to stay in our homes. And so I'm here with my kids. It's hard to get things set up and I really can't get food. And if I have EBT or SNAP, I can't use that to order groceries online. which is one colonial thing in the food security system we have, that card, that EBT card, means you can go to Whole Foods, but you can't order on Amazon, even though it's the same thing, the same people, the same stuff. And so we got involved in food security, and that led to doing a lot more direct services work. We never planned to be a direct services organization, but here the heck we are. And so now, fast forward through all of that, we've been really rebooted for about 2 years as an organization. We now have a staff of 8. We are getting 500 meals working with Mother Brown's Kitchen. We're getting 500 prepared meals to unhoused neighbors in the neighborhood every week. We're getting 250 boxes of fresh, healthy, organic produce to food insecure households and unhoused neighbors every week in the neighborhood. We're doing pop-up public health outreach, and we've been getting testing and vaccinations to folks, and we're trying to expand that now to doing cancer screenings and diabetes screenings and chronic illness screenings in the neighborhood, outdoors. It doesn't look like public health, doesn't have that feel of being in a clinic or anything like that. It's with people you trust. Papa Duck Alston's doing a fabulous job working with people on that, and Corey Monroe from our outreach department. There's weeks where we know we have done 6% or so of all vaccinations in the city have come from our one little pop-up in Bayview, Hunters Point. But what else are we doing? We're still starting the co-op and still planning these food sovereignty and food security efforts. We just got a small warehouse at the produce market just down the street from our office at the produce market. So these things have all grown faster than we could have imagined in 2.5 years. Now we're doing a lot of direct services as well as this planning, but it really all comes from trying to build a neighborhood that's in charge of its own future. And so it's always, folks, where it's community ownership, it's community led from the bottom up. And you can find more information, some more information at bvhpadvocates.org, our website, which we're fixing, and it's going to be updated, and it'll look a lot better by mid-May than it does today. But there's information there. There'll be more information in 2 weeks. And at bayview.coop, too, more information about the co-op. That was a long introduction there.
That is powerful. Let me tell you, Tom, just want to commend you and Michelle and y'all team for the work that you do. I've been out there on the ground with them. I understand the impact that you all have. And sometimes community folks just don't understand what it's like to be able to get a meal when it's hard to get a meal, especially you guys are bringing hot meals, right? And when you talk about the number of services that you all are bringing to them, the COVID, the medical services, right? Advocating for them to get the different services that are needed when you're unhoused. Sometimes, it is difficult to navigate systems when you don't have access to cell phones or to a mailing address and things of that nature. So just great, phenomenal work that you all doing. But as we start breaking down some of the programming,
Sure.
Because part of what we also want to do is to know about what you all doing, but also to bring that type of education and awareness to the community. Because I think there are folks out there who want to support or maybe don't know how to support. But can you just give a little insight of some of the struggles that these folks deal with? Because I think sometimes, as community, we just think, hey, these folks are unhoused and they're getting support. Some of the challenges that you all deal with when advocating for these folks. And I love the name, Michelle. Because this was almost going to be both sides of the conversation, advocates. But I love the name because, again, in our community, there is not enough folks who stand up and fight and advocate for us. So I appreciate the loud voice. People say I have a loud voice for the community, but we have to do that because at the end of the day, too many times in our community, folks have stood silent. And this is why a lot of these things that have taken place in our community have taken place. So thank you for being a loud voice and advocating, yelling and screaming for the community. I really appreciate that.
There's really something, to be said for just speaking up, standing your ground a little bit. And Michelle in particular, who's been in this all her life, she's a second generation activist from her mom, from Karen. And it's a kind of an amazing thing to see her at work. I've seen you in action at times, Mr. Henry, and some other folks, where you can actually be in that room sometimes with folks who are funding you and challenge them, right? Of like, look, here are flaws in the system. And if you're going to work with us, you're going to hear this. And you could hear it from us, now, or you can hear it even more harshly from the community outside of it. But you've got to learn, right? And so a lot of relationship, especially when it gets to the Department of Public Health or regulatory agencies at the state, is like, you guys realize that you're really failing people out here, right? You know, and some of that is sort of like where we've been asked to deliver these services. It's like, well, why do you, like, you couldn't figure this out? Like, you couldn't do this? You've got 28,000 employees in the city and county of San Francisco, and you can't reach folks who are living in cars and RVs and all these small encampments in the neighborhood because you don't actually knock on the door and talk to folks? You know, what is that? You know, and so that's really critically important. And that's really like having Corey on our outreach, who is so known and trusted in the neighborhood, and his crew. Like, we're just going to reach out and talk to people directly and find out what they need and then bring that back. And it's amazing how often the sort of official channels don't even know. And so it's like, oh, well, you know, you guys can get food to folks who we can't serve. We can't find them. There are service gaps. Well, why are there those gaps? What's wrong with this? We wish we were obsolete. And a lot of nonprofits, you know, we want to try to make ourselves obsolete, but instead here we are with them adding this on. I sort of took that down on one particular path in your question.
But I think that's a powerful statement that you made, Tony, because here it is. You know, I applaud you all for what you do when you push back against the folks who fund us and support us, because I think a lot of time larger organizations and sometimes organizations who do get funding, when it comes to talking about the difficult conversations, a lot of times they won't stand up and say, hey, this is wrong, or we need this, or do it this way, because they are worried about the not getting funded. We just got to be real, right? Not getting funded, or maybe rubbing somebody the wrong way. But again, we have to have these people who are courageous in our community, able to step up and be the difference, right? When we talk about changing the narrative, when we talk about empowering the community, when we talk about moving our community forward, we need leaders, right? And that's one thing that I appreciate what the Baby Advocates is doing. One, they are taking people from the community, letting their voices being heard, empowering them to impact the community. So when you see Anthony, when you see Corey, when you see these different folks out there from the community, right, leading with love and compassion and humility, it's a phenomenal thing, right? And this is why it's important when we talk about meeting people where they at, because I get frustrated and I go to all these meetings and I hear all these people talking about, we got to meet people where they at. We got to meet people where they at, right? Yeah. And again, you never see these people where people are at, right? They always want them to come to their office. They always want to come downtown. They always want them to come somewhere that's not where the people are at. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate the work that Baby Advocates are doing, right? They're boots on the ground. They're knocking on the doors, the RVs, they in the campsites, they under the freeways, they talking to the people. And one thing that I always admire about Corey Monroe is this. He always treats people with humility, and he always talks to the people. And he listens, right? Because I always tell people, they say, John, well, how do you get all this information? How do you know? I said, all you have to do is listen. The people will tell you what the problem is if you listen, right? But we got so many egos. We got people with their degrees, and we got people who, I'm the head of this, I'm an elected official, right? And they got all of this stuff going on, and they miss the basic things that we need to impact our community. So again, you know, it's just great that you all are doing that. You have local people from the community who are impacting, you know, bringing that love and humility and really making that change. And again, a lot of people in the community didn't understand some of the struggles that was going on, because a lot of those folks were out there at Candlestick Point. I know during the winter time, there was floods, there were different things that impacted you know, those families. But if you could talk a little bit about how you all came together, because I think it started with you all moving to March, you know, making some calls for public safety, DPH, and it got all the way up to the mayor and to our district supervisor to really get some space set up for these folks. That was kind of, you know, a place where they can get some, you know, some type of services and support and try to change the condition that they're in somewhat to make a little bit of a different change.
Well, that one in particular, right? Because each of these programs, we now have like 5 different programs, and they all have these different threads. But that one in particular is it's interesting because, again, it goes to this kind of accidental activism. Michelle, I think, ended up, you know, because Michelle has such a history in the neighborhood and knows folks, and folks, you know, reach out to her about things. She's one of those folks who's the complaint department about the neighborhood. You are too. Other folks are. Like things are going to come up, and you're going to find out first. And Michelle was on some group that was advising the city homelessness programs because they knew there was this population out here that they weren't reaching. And we had some success during the early days of the plague and testing and vaccines of reaching unhoused neighbors and getting them to events where right in front of Mother Brown's, when we really tried to reach unhoused folks and get them vaccinated the first time, get them boosters, get them tested, get some regular contact. And we surprised folks about how well we reached out to folks. And I was working with Corey, Ronell Clayton, a few other folks who were trusted and known in the community. And then you find out more and more about the community you're reaching, right? And quick sidebar, I was homeless myself for a very brief time back in my college years. Being homeless in college is totally different than now, because like on the college campus, because you can sleep by the park, or by the tennis courts, or shower in the gym or something like that, right? But I knew enough about it, like you spend all your time about, well, where am I going to put my stuff? What's my next meal coming from? What are you doing? It's survival things, right? And there's hella folks out here who are in an RV or a car, and they've got their family with them, or they're on friends' couches. And so you don't see a lot of homeless kids on the sidewalk or in tents, but there's thousands of homeless kids in the city, and it's kind of invisible because they're on couches or in cars and crashing with friends, all kinds of things. There's folks who work full time who then are unhoused because it's the cost of housing in San Francisco, right? And the failure of the city to actually provide for that in any kind of humane way. And so finding out just more and more folks, and so just they're not, we see the stories of a mental health crisis and folks in tents and trouble on the street, but for every case like that, there's a few more where it's folks just trying to get by like that. And so then we're saying, hey, look, just because you're on food assistance, you're unhoused, doesn't mean you should have unhealthy food. So that's why we're gonna bring food to you, and no judgments. We're not going to try to sweep you. We're not going to say you can't be here. We're not going to say all these things. But it's like, what can we do to help? Let's get you some food with no other sort of pressures. And can we get you some access to dental care or medical care? And like, oh, here's some connection to services we can do, that kind of thing. So it was really from that, and then bring that information back to those weekly meetings with the city that I think you were in along with Michelle about, hey, do you want to know more about what's going on here so you can actually make a difference and make things better? And that led to eventually, as you referenced, the VTC, the Vehicle Center. And this has been talked about for years of like, we actually need a place for RVs to park where there's actually services, there's a water hookup, that kind of thing, access to sanitation, a little bit safer, because I've even heard folks from the Chamber of Commerce saying this, that we have to acknowledge at this point that vehicles are part of our housing stock in the city. And the city gets so weird about this stuff, right? Because they don't want to admit their failures, or they don't want to admit these things, but the people are still out here. So what are you going to do? And so finally getting to a point of like, yes, we actually should be, trying to come up with safe places to put vehicles and folks living in vehicles. We obviously want to get everybody housed. We obviously need to get more folks into supportive housing and regular housing and affordable housing. And the city is sadly failing at so many of those things in ways that they should. But a whole nother conversation about housing policy is a whole nother conversation for another time. But just that kind of thing of just some baseline things where people are trying to get by the best they can, and we can get a little bit of support to them. That's a huge achievement. And we'll see, because I know there's been issues with the VTC because they didn't have electricity and they didn't have plumbing there when they opened and stuff like that. And they really do need to, and we need to do more of it at this point. And we just try to keep that pressure on, because it's always informed by what we're hearing from our communities.
And definitely that's why the baby advocates are out there advocating, and both sides of the conversation. We're going to be advocating. We're going to make noise. And I agree with you. There's a lot of failures that our city, are failing, right? And it's like you have to be able to say that things aren't going well. And this is why I get frustrated. I get in these meetings and all of these people with PhDs and these mathematical, analytical geniuses want to talk about data, right? And I get it. You have to have data for grant and funding and all this. But I'm saying I don't care about the numbers. I look at the people, because those numbers don't mean nothing to me. When I look out there, you can tell me 40% of the people have been housed. When I go out there and I see the people, those numbers don't match. So again, to me, I always say numbers don't lie, but they can be skewed. And, I think a lot of times these numbers are misrepresentation of what's really going on in the community. When we look at all sectors, when we're taking data and we're grabbing information, it just doesn't reflect, and then that's why I get frustrated, because everybody's data. Give me the numbers. But again, it's not showing up in our community, because you look at the folks who are impacted. You look at our young folks who are impacted. It is tragic to see the amount of young homeless folks in these housing. And I know some of these families, that's their thing. They want to stick with their community and they don't want to let go. But it is heartbreaking to see the amount of families who have been impacted by this gentrification and some of this greed in our city, that we have sold out to the developers, and we've sold out to so many folks who don't want to see folks who are middle class, working class folks in the city. And again, when we talk about solidarity, I'm coming back to solidarity because that's a big topic that everybody's talking about. How are we in solidarity? And again, when I always tell people, solidarity looks like 365 days a year, all communities coming together for all community issues, making sure that all families and community folks are impacted. So again, we want to shift that narrative about that conversation about solidarity. What does it look like? It looks like all of us coming together. This housing crisis that we are dealing with in San Francisco, it is real, it is alive, and we thank you, for being out there on that front line, making sure that those folks are supported. But before we get you out of here, I know we've been here for a minute, but I want to talk a little bit about the food desert. This is a big issue in our community, especially in District 10 and a number of the African-American, Latino communities, when we're talking about access to food security, access to healthy food, access to grocery stores. Those numbers are so small. And I just want to ask you, Tony, in your thought process and your programming mindset and looking at some of the things, how do we fix that issue? How do we get community? How do we get our elected officials? How do we get organizations to get behind, to put together something you talk about? I have an ideal, and I know this week we're going to be talking about some of the money that they're using for the sugar tax, right? And I'm saying, with the amount of money that's coming in from the sugar tax, and for y'all that don't know, in San Francisco, we're one of the cities who tax folks that use sugar sodas and things that, are sugar. They charge a tax for it, right? To give back to community and organizations, to bring back, models, to bring healthy eating and things of that nature, to bring that education awareness to our community, but also to build our community up. I'm saying, Tony, why we can't open up a rainbow type of grocery in Bayview, right? A cooperative. The community owns it. We take the millions of dollars from the sugar tax. I know they get millions and millions of dollars. I'm going to find out how much money, right? But why can't we open up a rainbow grocery type of model, okay? Bring it into our community. Have the folks who are unhoused be a part of that cooperative, that ownership, work there. Why can't we get our young folks, teach them gardening? We could put together a whole gardening class, right? We can teach them to grow food there. Then we can contract with our other minority farmers, right? We support them now, bring some of that healthy food to our community. We bring in the nutritionist folks who teach our community, young parents and the folks in the community, how to cook healthy meals, right? It's like full wraparound service if you bring that to the community. What do you think about it, Tony?
Dude, this is what we've been trying to start up for 3 years now, but then a public health crisis got in the way, so we couldn't really sell shares during a public health crisis. But that's why you got that on the screen about Bayview.coop, because one thing we're trying to do right now is we're actually doing, for the first time, no one's done this before, a real market study of Bayview residents and where they shop now and how they do this and how they get food on their table. Long story short, we actually do have some funding from the soda tax, from the sugary drink tax. That was our first real committed funder in 2019, because they had various efforts of various healthy food things and various public health efforts were going to be funded out of the soda tax. And we were very unique out of the applicants because we wanted to do a policy change because we wanted to do community-owned grocery stores. And that got the Department of Public Health excited, like, oh, go for that, try that out. We then found out, because we were rookies at this, we just knew what we wanted to see in the neighborhood, and then we're going to learn the business. On average, it takes nationally about 7 to 10 years to start a community co-op. And we're like, we can beat that. We can do it in 4 to 5. I think that's still true, but then we still had this 2-year plague in the way. So now we're trying to get back on track. So what is it now? End of April. So by the end of June, we're trying to get a draft of a business plan together. We want to try to incorporate the co-op by the end of the year so we can sell shares to the community ownership exactly the way you described. And we're also doing a site study right now of potential locations in the neighborhood, because that's what everybody asks. Oh, you're starting a co-op. Where's it going to be and when are you going to open? And we don't know yet, because we actually need to do studies on this about where the best place is in the neighborhood that really gets everyone access the way that we want and what people go now. So anyone listening right now at bayview.coop, there's links about what we're doing with the co-op. We're actually going to be upgrading that also in the next month, but there's links there to a survey. And we want people to do that survey because we want to know, where do you shop now? Because we know it's not in Bayview. It might be at Foods Co. or Super Save, but probably you're going out of the neighborhood. I know, because I knocked on a lot of doors a couple of years ago, thousands of doors. I know, and asking people where they went, they would go to grocery outlet first, get some bargains, then they'd go to like Trader Joe's or Foods Co. in the Mission or Safeway for their basics, and then they'll go to a corner store for a little more. And like, well, that's chaos. If you're doing 3 stores every 2 weeks, every week, that's a mess, because where I live, next door neighborhood, Victoria Hill, I can walk to 5 grocery stores from right here and get everything I need. So it's not, and I would say it's not, I know the term food desert is used a lot, but what we're going to use more in this field is food apartheid as a term, because the desert is a natural occurrence and apartheid is intentional. And the way that commercial real estate has gone in San Francisco, and the way that the power structure is in San Francisco, and the way that San Francisco really has trouble caring about Black and brown people, it's food apartheid. And we just need to call it for what it is. And the way we get out of that, again, is community ownership and community leadership of a store. Rainbow is interesting because Rainbow is worker owned. It's good. It's a co-op. Love them. Great to do what they do. Other avenues and Rainbow are worker co-ops. That's great. This is a community co-op. There's no example like that in the city. Sacramento has one. Davis has one. There's others up and down the state and across the country. We want to have a community-owned co-op. So the community actually votes on the board. The community actually leads. And generally, community co-ops have lower prices than worker co-ops because, again, it's community-led. So that's exactly where we're going. And you're exactly right about all the other uses you get with nutritionists and the community kitchen and food education and all sorts of other sort of natural connections you get from having a store that the community owns and is going to stay here for more than 20 months before closing.
Man, a very, very important. And Tony, I'll be on the side of you fighting, okay? I am. Really? That is the new term, community. We're not going to call it a food desert anymore. We're going to call it a food apartheid. And that's what's happening. We're letting politics get in the way of taking care of our community. But it is very important that you said that because, again, you could go right to Patrol here. There's 5 stores. You come to Bayview, there's 1 store, with the cost of inflation.
Yep.
The increase of all of this stuff, gas, how much strain is on one of these single families or socially, economically impacted community families. You have to drive to 5 stores. Did y'all just hear what Tony said? Community folks have to go to 5 different stores just to get food for the community because we have apartheid in our community, right? But if you look on 3rd Street, there's a liquor store on every corner, Tony. So how do we get the community together to fight, to tell our city officials, we don't care how much money the liquor stores are paying you. We don't want liquor stores in our community. We don't want Burger King and McDonald's in our community. How do we fight for that, Tony? How do we get them out of our community?
Well, that's the other term. The other term people use is a food swamp, where you have food options, but they're bad choices, right? And so when your choices are the McDonald's on Shafter or the 7 liquor stores, which are mostly they actually have bread and milk and some staples because people do go there for that. But most of what they're doing is cigarettes and alcohol. And there have been limits. Like I think there was legislation where there are limits as to how many liquor permits we can have in the neighborhood. But that hasn't led to progress about getting healthier food here. And here's another irony on top of that, right? Because we have an office at the produce market. We just got a warehouse at the SF Produce Market over on Gerald, right? So every bit of healthy produce, healthy food that comes into San Francisco comes through Bayview, comes through 94124. And it shows up in the middle of the night and it goes out to Molly Stone's and Gus's and all the stores all across the city. And folks living in 94124 can't buy any of it because it's over here at the wholesale market and it goes out, right? So that's the irony, right? So we're saying, no, this is going to be our way of getting this quality food. And we're also going to reach to Black and brown farms, because let's not forget that there's farms up and down the Central Valley and the Bay Area who are locked out of the food system here at the produce market too, right? So what we're trying to say is there's a whole system here that needs change, but the way we can make that change is we can try to reach underserved, under-resourced farms, small farms, Black and brown farms in the Central Valley, and go straight from farm to underserved tables. And so that's our niche. And so that's where we keep trying to find more and more suppliers and other folks, to get healthy food from the farm to the table in a more equitable system. And Anthony's got a great vision. You should have Anthony on this show coming up some too.
We're gonna get Anthony. Corey done been here. We'll get Anthony to talk
about
it. But I agree with you 100% because here we always about how do we empower our Black businesses, our brown businesses, right? And then how do we work collectively with our other organizations? And I think that's phenomenal because, again, what you're highlighting is the things that I've been arguing and fighting about. There's a number of Black farms in the Central Valley, all the way from Manteca on down, down there to Bakersfield, okay? Latin farmers that we could be utilizing those farms to help bring and those fruits and vegetables and things of that nature and bringing it to our community to help impact our community. But that model, one thing that I want you to make sure as you all putting this cooperative together, I want ownership, Tony. Okay, because what happens is this: the city blesses these folks, they get these things going, but what happens is we don't get ownership. So one of the things that I'm fighting, because I know people are gonna be saying, wait a second, John's on here agreeing with Tony about co-ops, but he's yelling about the housing co-ops, right? Because my thing is, I'm in these meetings when they're talking about housing co-ops, I don't believe in them. Okay, when we talk about Black folks owning property, right? We want to own it. So I don't believe in the co-op model because it doesn't give full ownership to the folks in the community, right? Same thing with our businesses. So when people tell me, Tony, they got 35 new African-American businesses on 3rd Street, I tell them, how many own the storefront?
Right, fair. Okay?
If you can't tell me that those 35 businesses don't own a storefront, don't come telling me about we got Black businesses in our community. Because as soon as the Department of Planning comes in, as the development comes in and things change in the community, those businesses are the first ones to get pushed out of our community. Right. So again, for me, it's about ownership. So I'm okay with supporting your co-op. Okay, Tony? Tell Michelle I'll support her. I'll fight. I'll pick it. Whatever I have to do to support this, right? But I want ownership in there, okay? They have to give us space that we own. We don't want to be moved out of our community. We want to own it.
But this is where community ownership kicks in, right? And that's the point about the co-op, right? Is that it's shared ownership, because you're only going to get so far with capitalism, right? Because you brought it up. Capitalism was not made for low-income folks or for Black and brown folks. It was made to exploit folks. And so to sort of say, well, we're going to keep capitalism and all of its excesses and exploitation and somehow still solve global warming and hunger and all these inequities, well, good luck, because here we are in late-stage capitalism, and I don't know what's coming next, but it's going to be some pain before we get there. So what we can do, you and me, we're just like little folks talking on YouTube right now. We can actually create some models, some examples. And so having community ownership, you spread that out and you have the neighborhood owning its own grocery store. That's our way of
Tony,
trying.
I gotta take you back. We're not little folks on the YouTube channel. We're big folks. You see the community out here. My brother Charles Ryan is watching. He owns his own business, right? This
Fair
is
enough.
how
Fair enough.
co-ownership impacts the whole community. He has a power washing business, right? So
Okay.
if we get the grocery stores, Charles can come power wash the grocery store floors. He
We'll
can
love
come
it.
power wash the parking lot.
Yes.
Economics to the Black and brown community. This is what I'm talking about. It's bigger than just us. So we're not gonna sell it short as small. It's big ideals, big wheels are turning. We're going to activate and energize our community, Tony.
I'm just speaking as one hidden gem out here, man. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Tony, doesn't matter if it's 1 or 5 hidden gems. The work you are doing is powerful, brother. And again, you're here for a reason. Your staff,
Back at you,
and they nominated you here. And the Baby Advocate is a powerful movement in our city sector. Okay, so we appreciate your advocacy, your voice, standing up. And this is what solidarity looks like. Okay, because I know sometimes people say, "Oh man, you know, there are people that are with us to help dismantle what is going on. And it takes folks like you when we talk about allyship. And I think I said I'm taking away allyship. I want dismantlers. I don't want folks that want to be an ally, because sometimes the allies, you know what I mean, Tony?
Oh, yeah.
They change, Tony, and I don't want to have to call them out, Tony, and I don't want to have to be mean. And they say, John, you're mean to the ally, and we love the community. We love our Black and brown community. So I'm looking for folks who are about dismantling, okay? Yeah. You don't have to be in allyship. You got to be about dismantling these systems that impact us. So, Tony, you are that. You are a dismantler, Tony.
Absolutely. No, and allies forget it. Allies are not, you're not like an ally and that's it. No, allyship is a daily thing. It's an act. It's not a label. It's a thing you have to do. And so you're absolutely right. And then what are you actually doing? And if you're not dismantling the system and building something better, you ain't that much of an ally, frankly. Come on now.
Man, definitely, Tony. You like the San Francisco show me state. You know, in Missouri, they say you have to show us. We bringing it to D10. You're showing the folks what it's about when collectively we work together in solidarity. The work that you, Michelle, and the rest of the team is doing. That's what solidarity looks out. And I don't want to leave. Before we leave, I'm going to let you out of here. But before we leave, we want to definitely acknowledge Mother Brown, because that has been a pillar of our community, making sure that the folks in the community get fed and support services. And there was so many times that folks were trying to move them out of the community because of the in-house folks coming to get services, and folks don't want folks who's struggling in the community. And again, this is why I talk about solidarity. If we want to see change in our community, it takes us all. And that mindset of it's them against us has to change if we want to develop and move our community forward. So again, Tony, great work, great connection with Mother Brown. And I'm hoping through all of the partnerships that you and Michelle encounter and the programming that you all bring to our community continues to impact our community, which we know is there. I've been a part of a couple of the community unhoused folks with our organization, partnering with Corey, making sure that they get support. And we've been doing everything we can to help advocate. I mean, I've seen you all go above and beyond. I've seen you take folks to get their license, to get their IDs, to get them opportunities to get back. So I know the work that you all are doing for the community folks. Please go to this website, check out the Bayview Co-op, check out Baby Advocates. This work that they are doing, they are up and down the streets in San Francisco in our D10 sector and across the city, making sure that our folks are getting the support services that are needed, making sure that they are getting fed. And believe me, they are getting good meals, y'all. Okay, Tony and them is a part of. See, that's why I said it's not little, Tony. It's big. Okay, they treat people with humility and compassion. I've seen them bring crab. I've seen them bring roast. I've seen them bring great meals. We're not talking about bringing a McDonald's bag, a Happy Meal, okay? They're bringing food with love. They're bringing soul food. They're bringing food that can fill the stomach, because some of these unhoused folks sometimes might not eat for days. But thanks to Bayview Advocates, these folks are eating twice a day. They are getting medical services. They are advocating to make sure that the resources are coming to these folks. So again, Tony, that's a big thing. It's not small to me. And I appreciate, the grind that you're doing for the people, man. We appreciate you and all the work that you're doing.
Right back at you, sir.
Hey, thank you again. So with that being said, before I let you go, if there's any shout outs you want to give out to your teams, any of the folks that you want to talk to and just give them a shout out, this is the time to do it. And if there's any parting words that you want to tell community to get involved, if there's any support that you need, just this is the time. It's folks out there watching. You'll see how big both sides of the conversation is. Volunteers, whatever it is, they'll come knocking on the door saying, how can I get involved?
Just a couple quick shout outs. One, I gotta remember Maya Bonner. Maya Bonner was our youngest staff member who passed away over MLK weekend in January, in a complete shock to everyone. And she was our second in command on our food sovereignty programs, and we all had great hopes and had a great future for her, and that really tore us up. And we're still recovering and sort of like really continuing with the spirit, because I knew her for 10 years. When she was like in junior high school, she lived just a couple blocks from me in the neighborhood, then lived over on Menzel in Viz Valley, and was like learning and was going to go to Berkeley to study environmental justice and come back to work for us. And that really messed us up temporarily. And then of course we got to keep going. And that's what happens when you find out something like that, and like, well, hey, we still have deliveries to make today. We still have folks to outreach today. We still have to get food out and vaccines out today. And that's what you do whenever you're doing direct services. So that's that. And then also, I haven't really gotten into even some other programs. We actually have a co-op startup program to educate folks about what co-ops are and how they can start more of them in the neighborhood. That'll be growing. And we have a youth advocates program that's going to start up in a month or two. And more work on our toxic index about all the sites of pollution that are affecting our health in the neighborhood. That'll all be at bvhpadvocates.org, especially in a couple weeks. So whenever you see this, so this is now late April. If you see this by mid-May, we'll be live with more events over there. So I'll just keep it at that.
Hey, Tony, before you go, make sure that you, Michelle, somebody come back as those programs roll out. Again, because we want to keep it current. Again, this is a community-based platform. This is for you. So tell Michelle, I want to get her on. I told Corey to get her on, but I know she's busy like me, running around, taking care of everything. But when she's free, and as you all start rolling out these programs, definitely I would like you all to come back to let community know, so that we can also connect some of the other community folks. And if there are programming for our young folks to get involved, we definitely want to make sure as we approach the summer months that they can have programs that they can get a part of, so that we keep them busy this summer, so we can reduce some of this violence in our community.
All good. I think Dalila and Anthony would be great on the show, and of course Michelle's the best, but her schedule is so messed up right now.
I know she's busy like me, running around everywhere. If you're watching Michelle, if you get the link, because I know Corey's going to share it to you. I want to say thank you, Michelle, for all you are doing with building this up and out and impacting our community. To Corey, Papa Doug, all of the folks at Baby Advocates, thank you for all of the work that you all are doing, working with compassion and humility. We appreciate you all, and we just want you all to know at Baby Advocates, we love you. Keep doing it, and we pray for y'all to keep this movement going to help impact our community.
You too, Mr. John Henry.
All right. Thank you, Tony. See you soon.
You got it.
All right, community, before we leave out today and close you all out, just want to say thank you for being here and, supporting both sides of the conversation. Again, tonight is our Hidden Gem segment, where every Tuesday we highlight our Black and brown businesses, as well as our community leaders and organizations that are doing positive things to impact our community. As you all can see tonight, the Baby Advocates were here. They are positively impacting our community, and they're doing some things that's going to impact community. So I want to say thank you to them again. Also to all the community folks who are watching out there. This segment is for you. If you know a small business owner, if you know somebody who are doing something like Tony to impact the community, please have them go to our website, nominate them, get them on, so we can let the world know, the community know where they at, what they're doing. And if they own a business, we want to make sure that our both sides of the conversation family gets out there, patronize their business, and help support and uplift their businesses as well. There's a number of things coming forward. I told you all, we got some amazing things. We have some amazing folks that's going to come on and help uplift and push this organization forward and really connect our communities. When I say connect, We are connecting the entire Bay Area. The amount of resources, information, networking opportunities that we have with these phenomenal minds that are coming on is going to just be great. Some of our Sunday conversations, some of the conversations that we're going to be putting out for community in the future is going to be powerful, amazing. And again, our youth. I know y'all been saying, hey, where's the youth? What's going on with the youth? All of this violence. We're going to be working with some young folks. We're going to be getting some young folks on here to host a youth day and have youth conversation to impact community. I see my co-host somewhere. I don't know if she's going to come on the screen and say hi to everybody. But again, we got some amazing things going on, y'all. So just stay tuned. We got our narrative shift starting to happen. Y'all going to start seeing us in the community. Y'all going to start seeing some of these community folks coming on, talking about what's going on as we continue with our dream keepers to change the narrative, make sure that we are doing the things to impact our community. So be looking forward for some of that stuff coming up. We're going to be kicking up some dust here in a minute and making some things happen. Y'all going to see us all over the place, moving around. And again, we got a number of folks on our team. Y'all going to see them both sides of the conversation, banners and hats and shirts moving all around the Bay Area because we're going to be out in these streets with the people making it happen. So just excited. Tony, I see you there. You going to come up and say hi to the folks or you staying backstage? We'll see if you going to say hi to the people. Come on, Tony. Come say hi to people. You can't be shy, Tony. Y'all, this is our co-host, Tony. She's going to be coming on to support us. Come say hi. Y'all check Tony out.
I'm not shy at all, first of all. Family, world, Bay Area. Okay. Don't put them stimulants on me. What's up, everybody? I'm Tony Rochelle. I'm the new co-host, one of the new co-hosts of both sides of the conversation. And I just can't wait to have some conversations with some amazing people. John, thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for this platform. It's super lit. And I'm ready to just help with the community.
Yeah, and having you connect and doing the work that you're doing and your amount of humility and compassion, we want to thank you too. When we talked about some of the stuff that you want to give back to impact not only our young folks in the community is going to be great. There's a lot of intersections that we agree on when we talk about our young folks and how we uplift them and how we support them and some of the things that's going on. We just happy to have you. We looking forward to having these conversations. Thank you for being a part of our group. I see the group is getting lit again. Y'all better check out our Facebook group. It's about to be going down.
Woo, it was crazy today.
It's getting lit. We just waking things back up. And, just wanted to bring you up here to say hi and introduce yourself to community because a lot of folks been like, who's the new person? And we getting it out. Community is coming. We're still doing some, look, my boy Charles said, yeah, Charles, we got you as backup co-host. Everybody want to show up and show out. We're going to be doing that because we're going to have some powerful conversations in our community. Again, y'all know what we about here at both sides of the conversation. For all of the new folks that are tuning in, just watching, we about our people. We about the Black community. We about uplifting our voices. We about keeping it real. We're not going to be up here sugarcoating stuff. We're not going to be saying yes this, yes that. No, we're going to be here, okay, to uplift our voices, bring the education, the awareness, and the resources to our community through this platform. We're going to be centralizing this community, and we're going to keep this space open for community to be able to talk about the issues, the things that impact them so that we can advocate with you as well as the baby advocates to make sure that our people voices are heard. We are making sure that the right narrative is being told from our voices. We're not going to let other people, we're not going to let CNN, Fox News tell the world what's going on with our community. We're going to have real people who live in our community, who work in our community, who are doing stuff to impact our community, like my brother Maurice River on there. What's up, Maurice? Another hidden gem in our community that's impacting our community, organizing and bringing that solidarity. When I talked about earlier, bringing solidarity, Maurice is one of those pillars in the community, doing a lot of phenomenal things. Also coming up, they're going to have a cleanup in their community. We'll get that flyer out. Y'all get out there and help keep our community clean and support some of the stuff that the OMI is doing. So thank you, Maurice, for just being there, always supporting both sides of the conversation, and we support you as well. Again, there's a lot of folks. We ain't going nowhere. I told y'all there's some organizational shifts that had to take place, some things that are happening. Don't think we're going nowhere. We are here. We're going to make sure that our community is impacted, and we're going to make sure that our community is notified about the resources, where are the events, where are the resources, and we're going to make sure that those organizations that are supposed to be giving these services to our community are doing their part in making sure that those deliverables get to our people. And when they don't, we're going to advocate for the community. We'll hold them accountable. And that's what we're here to do here at both sides of the conversation. So again, tune in, Tap into all of our social media handles. Check out our Instagram. Check out our Facebook group and page. A lot of information is going out. Again, we're looking forward to Tony, some of our other co-hosts that's going to be coming on. We're going to be having some fire conversations. I know y'all been hitting me. Everybody's been hitting me. John, when are we going to have part 3 of the relationship conversation? And so many women has been hitting me about it. It is coming. Be patient. We got to let Tony get on board it. We got to let her get comfortable because Tony got a good perspective. So y'all just get ready. It's going to be fire. We got some other folks that's coming on. We will have a relationship part 4 and 5 because this stuff is going to take about 3 or 4 shows to work out some of these issues. But the ideal, again, is not to bash, put each other down, right? It is really just to talk about the real issues. And again, how do we bring these type of conversations to healing in our community? How do we build Black love? How do we build solidarity? How do we bring the things that we need through our conversations to heal our community? There's a lot of traumas. There's a lot of things that we all deal with. And we're hoping that through both sides of the conversation, y'all know we believe through communication, a healing process happens. And anytime you go to a therapist, anytime you get help and mental services, the first thing they tell you is get it off your chest. So we want to create space for our community to get it off our chest. And that's what these conversations is going to do. So we can touch some of those sticky conversations, some of those taboo conversations, some of those stigma conversations that we don't like to talk about in our community, and start having those conversations so that we could bring a level of understanding, communication, and healing to our people. So again, I'm excited to see what's going to happen. Y'all going to see Tony. I see people already saying Tony is going to be with both sides of the conversation. Y'all going to see her in the community soon. Don't worry. We got a number of events that's coming out. It's going to be fire. She's going to be out hosting at some of these events. And just mingling and getting acclimated with our communities. We're going to be in Oakland. We're going to be in Richmond. We're going to be in Vallejo. We're going to be around the Bay, impacting our people. Wherever there's Black and brown people, we'll be there to support and uplift those communities. And having Tony and different folks that are coming on our team, there's going to be amazing reach that we're going to be doing with the amount of networking and things that we're going to be doing to help bring both sides of the conversation and this community love all to one. So again, just stay tuned. A lot of great things happening. A lot of amazing folks who really care about community. And y'all all know at both sides of the conversation, our main thing is the people, you, making sure that the people that are here are committed to the people first. And we have some amazing minds here that care about our people, love about our people, and want to see things change in our community. So thank you all for tuning in tonight. Hope to see you all this Thursday. Dr. Mo is coming on. Dr. Hicks, we're talking about Black mental health. You all know we promised y'all last year. In 2022, we was coming new. We talking about mental health and financial literacy this weekend. Before we leave, I want to say thank you to all of the young folks. Okay, first we want to shout out Kaiser Permanente for sponsoring an event that was very productive and impactful for our young folks. This past Saturday, we had a Zoom financial literacy workshop sponsored by Kaiser Permanente, and we was able to support these young folks, buy them lunch, give them a stipend, and teach them financial literacy. Y'all all know my big call to action for our community is to change our financial paradigm so that we could build generational wealth in our community and make sure that we pass generational wealth to our young folks. And we had some amazing, amazing financial coaches who came on. We even had a sister all the way in the East Coast come on to educate our young folks and in our community about financial literacy, making sure they got the right tools, the right information, and the wherewithal to go ahead and build up that financial legacy that we need in our community. As you heard me tell Tony earlier, we need ownership. The only way we can own things in our communities, we got to fix our pocketbooks. We got to fix the way we invest, and we got to save that money so that we can buy and own our businesses and homes. So again, just say thank you to all those young folks who showed up. And I know these elders in the community say, where's our young folk? Them folks showed up at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, ready to go, learning about financial literacy. So don't tell me that our young folks ain't committed about money and ain't committed about learning, because they showed up and showed out. So thank you to all of them. Again, thank you to Kaiser for believing in what we're trying to do, sponsoring that event. And there's many more events that's going to be coming up to impact community. I know some folks reached out. They found out about the information last minute. Don't worry, we'll be putting on a number more of these financial workshops to bring that knowledge and information to our community. So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in tonight. We're looking forward to seeing y'all. Some of the topics that we're going to be discussing here are going to be very, very powerful and impactful. Our Sunday conversations are going to be lit. So get ready. There's a number of them that we're going to be putting together. And when y'all hear us talk about this stuff, it's going to be fire. So I hope you'll be a part of it. This Saturday, y'all see me out in the community. I'll be out there at the STEM Frenzy at City College, supporting our young folks on STEM, making sure that they know about mathematics, engineering. So we want to give a huge shout out to Dahlia Fitzpatrick and to all my folks who are working together to put that together to make sure that our babies learn STEM. That is the wave of the future. We want to make sure that our young women and young men of the community get an opportunity to get in there. If you're looking for that event, you want to sign up, go to our Both Sides of the Conversation page and group, or our Instagram. Those flyers and that information is there, and we'll be getting it out throughout the week until Saturday. Again, there's a number of events. Can't wait to see you there. Again, happy birthday to my sister Felicia Jones. Hope you're having a good one. We'll see you Saturday. And to all the other folks in the community, we're looking forward to seeing you all in the future. And we hope to see you all show up when Tony comes to the community. Give her some love. Show her and say, hey, that's Tony from Both Sides of the Conversation. Y'all see her out in the community, and we'll be grinding, getting it for the people. Love y'all. See y'all soon.